sunny side up. Bonjour!
Bonjour, Naomi.
Okay, that's my little bit of my French. That's as far as it goes. But I've got Paula Shoyer here on the set, 5-time cookbook author, and she's been to cooking school in the Ritz Escoffier in Paris.
Yes.
And today we are going to be baking something from your Pesach cookbook that's French.
Absolutely, because French pastry is so delicious. Why not enjoy it for Pesach?
So I kind of always feel that like French cooking is like over my head. Like it's like really hard, especially baking. I'm not a big baker, but you wrote two baking books?
2 baking books. But the unknown secret about French pastry is that it looks like you stood in the kitchen for 4 hours or even longer, but actually each component only takes 5 or 10 minutes and then you put it together. So that's the secret. And you spread it out a few days in advance to when you're going to serve it, so it doesn't take much time at all.
Okay, so it's not so overwhelming. And especially nobody kind of thinks French pastry and Pesach, like what?
People never think about pies and tarts for Pesach either.
Right.
We're all about like cookies and brownies and cakes, but like any day is a good day.
We're going to
for
blow
pie.
your mind today. We're going to blow your mind. I love it.
I think about Pesach all the time. Don't you? If you find a great recipe in August that's gluten-free, I'm thinking, oh, this is for Pesach recipe.
Next book, you know.
We are making a classic French pear and almond tart. It was one of the recipes I learned my first week in cooking school in Paris, and it's still one of my absolute favorites.
Tell me about that experience.
Well, I had also gone to law school in my life, but pastry school was way more fun.
Okay, let's go. What do we do first?
Okay, so first step is we're gonna make the dough.
Okay.
Now, whenever I make any kind of pie crust, tart crust, even like shortbread cookie doughs, I use my food processor. Any recipe where you'd be cutting a fat into dry ingredients, you can do in your food processor, and it's so fast.
Okay, I'd like to see how this all comes together.
So you're gonna start with ground almonds.
Okay.
You can grind them yourself, you can buy them already ground.
Yeah, we like to buy those.
You can buy them. I have a coffee grinder dedicated to nuts for Pesach that first day of the holiday, I just grind up a ton of nuts.
Oh, okay.
Ground almonds are kind of expensive, so if you grind them up yourself, it's like much more economical.
Okay, we like economical.
Absolutely. Okay, so powdered sugar.
I'm like so curious to see how this is going to come together.
Yes, and potato starch. So we're gonna put this in. We're just gonna process this for a few seconds. About 10 seconds or so.
This is a food processor for Pesach is a very good investment.
100%. And if you didn't have one, you could just put all these ingredients in a bowl with a whisk and just whisk them together.
In 1 second, you've got it in the machine.
That's it. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and add our fat. So it could be margarine. I usually keep sticks of margarine in the freezer so that they're cold for making any kind of pie crust or tart.
Okay.
But of course, if it's not super, super cold, just make sure not to over process it. So we're gonna put our pieces in right here.
Okay, this is margarine.
This is margarine.
We're making this part.
And you could also make this with butter, obviously. Okay, so you're just gonna mix this for about 10 seconds. And you can even pulse it like this. And you want it to kind of look like sand.
See, that was 10 seconds.
So how it looks like sand.
Okay, yeah.
But, oh, don't worry, because if you ever see like pieces of fat in here, yeah, there's like little, like you see like little pieces of the margarine, that's fine. You don't need to mix it any more than that, okay? So next we're gonna go ahead and add vanilla. And another tip, if you ever use coconut oil to bake anything, always add extra vanilla to balance out that coconut flavor because coconut sometimes is overpowering.
I love coconut.
Not everybody does though, I do too. And we're gonna do 1 egg yolk,
Okay.
large egg, and just about a little tablespoon of water. And then we're just gonna gently mix this together.
I'm like totally into this, guys.
This is so easy.
There might be a cold camera situation going on, but I'm in learning mode here.
And you know, old recipes used to say to mix the dough until it comes together into a ball. You don't want to do that. I always say it should look like clumps of couscous. Because then you can squeeze. So you see how it's like starting to have little spaces between it? You literally,
it's coming together. It's
right, but you don't even have to mix it any more than that, okay? And the test is like you can pick up a clump of it and go and like squeeze it.
I feel that.
And look, it's like done. It's together.
Thank you for teaching me that. Oh my God, mind blown.
But somebody once said to me, like, who's eating tarts for Pesach? And I'm like, yeah, I am.
We are. You know how to make it, and this is a non-gebrat, which I love.
Right, which is great.
And you can, for gluten-free world, you can have this all year.
And this is a basic crust. So like if you wanted to, you could turn this into like a lemon bar. You could turn it into, use this for an apple pie. We're gonna make a pear tart, but you could use the same crust for almost anything.
I have 1,000 recipes going through my head right now.
Right. So we're just gonna dump this on plastic wrap and wrap it up and put it in the freezer. And here I use
Why are we putting in the freezer?
So there's two, you're gonna see in a minute, there's like 2 ways to get the dough into the pan. You could roll it out, because of course I have a Pesach rolling pin, but you can also do it. You can always use a wine bottle instead if you ever need a rolling pin.
I never thought I would need a Pesach rolling pin.
Same with me. So you're just gonna loosely wrap it up and then flatten it so that it chills faster. And that's it. You can stick this in the freezer. What's really great is this can be in the freezer like a day before, a week before, a month before, and then when you're ready to make your tart. So that's like part 1 of the recipe.
All right, let's get to the next part. Time to poach those pears. So what is the best way to do that?
Okay, so first you're gonna buy 3 pears, and depending on the size of the pan, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit, try to get pears that are around the same size. So 3 of them. They can be the Bas, Danju, whichever ones you like. And you're just gonna peel them like you would peel any pear. Now while I'm peeling this pear, can you put some lemon juice in it? Okay. So while I'm getting the pears ready, we put them in lemon juice so they don't turn brown.
This is my little lemon hack. Just using a fork. This is how my mother does it.
I do love my citrus juicer though. It's one of my favorite little tools. And you want to make sure you get all of the skin off of that pear. They don't have to be ripe. They can be reasonably hard. So don't worry about that, about searching for ripe ones. So now we're going to take our knife. Thank you.
I'm cleaning up.
Great sous chef, Naomi Nachman. I'm going to cut off there. And now I'm going to look at this pear. This one's a nice shape, but I'm going to cut it over here to just make it like flat so it stands up. And then I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut it down this way. Now comes the really fun part, okay? We need to get out the inside. Now most people's inclination would be to take a knife and cut it, but we want the top of these pears to look just like this. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a metal measuring spoon and I'm going to go down and get this vein out with the spoon. And scoop out the seeds.
People do the middle, but I never noticed the vein before.
Right, but the vein sometimes, it's just not as, it's not as nice to eat, so you just kind of scoop it all out. That's it.
More delicate.
Right? It's so cool, right? And then you kind of just toss that in there.
Right, because it oxidizes fast. That's how we're doing the lemon.
Exactly.
Just giving a little bath in the lemon juice.
100%. So you do the other one. And then let's say if you looked at your pear and you're like, oh, I want a little bit of a nicer shape, you can always trim it a little bit and make it a little rounder if you wanted to, but you don't really have to. So you're going to do this for the 3 pears, and you're going to poach them in the liquid till they're soft.
How do we poach them?
So you're just going to bring the water, the vanilla, and the lemon juice to a bowl. Just hold that. We're going to do them in a pot. So imagine this is our pot, and they're cooking for a little while, and we want to check because we don't want to overcook them. You're going to lift up one of them.
How do we know? Because they'll get too mushy, and we're trying to avoid that.
So you're going to take like a little small tip knife, and you're just going to stick it in. And see how it just goes through?
Can I feel that?
Yeah, don't go all the way through, but just kind of press it in.
It's soft.
Right? And that's how you know they're done. So after they're done, you cool it, and then you can put it in a container with the liquid that it poached in, and you can do that, 3-4 days before you assemble the tart. So another thing you can do in advance.
Okay.
Now we're going to do part 3, which is the almond cream, which is what goes inside the crust. The pears are going to go inside the almond cream. So you see this part just takes a little bit longer because you have to cook the pears for, 25-30 minutes or until they're soft. But always check them. Whatever time a recipe tells you, always check it sooner. Whether you're baking or cooking anything, just subtract time so that you don't overcook things.
I'm curious to see how all this is going to become a cream.
Well, this is almond cream, and you've had it before. Have you ever had an almond croissant anywhere?
Oh, of course I had an almond croissant.
So what's inside an almond croissant is what we're making right now.
Really?
Yes.
This is real Escoffier Ritz right
this
here
is so
in
great.
the Kosher.com kitchen.
It's like one of the most kind of essential French pastry components.
Yeah.
So ground almonds, right? You can buy them ground them yourself, however you want to do that. And we're going to put in a little bit of sugar and some potato starch. And then we're going to put our margarine into this. Okay, we're going to mix this up.
Without the egg.
Yeah, first we're going to mix this up together. And hopefully it doesn't go flying. Now, basically what we've just created is an almond paste. Have you ever seen like marzipan or almond paste comes in a tube? This is what it is, but homemade.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add our egg and about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And just know when I make this not for Pesach, I put rum into it.
Ooh, a little rum.
A little rum. It's really good. So we'll start on, we're going to mix this up. So I want you to look at it right now. You see how kind of yellow it is and gloppy? Yeah. You're going to mix this for about a minute and watch it transform.
Okay. Eyes on here, everyone. Let's go.
so now take a look at it. The color is completely different. Instead of being yellow, it's kind of whitish and creamy and airy. We've incorporated lots of air into it. And this is going to be the filling. Can I try some? If you want. I mean, I don't eat anything with raw eggs, but you can try it. I love it
so
baked.
good.
I love it baked.
All right, we are making the pie now, right?
We're gonna put all these pieces together.
Put it all together.
Okay, so
And then we're going to eat it.
yes.
The best part.
So during the rest of the year, whenever you roll out dough, you're gonna sprinkle flour on your space because we're not gonna use flour on Pesach. We're gonna use powdered sugar. So I'm just
Why does powdered sugar work?
because if I use potato starch, it's gonna make it drier and it'll take away from the taste of it. So I'm using powdered sugar.
Which can only make it sweeter.
So I've chilled the dough. Now, if you were really in a rush and you didn't have time to chill it, you could actually just take pieces of the dough and just kind of press it into the pan, okay? I'm gonna use this kind of 9-10 inch pan, which is what one way to do it. Another way is if you had a tart pan with a removable bottom. This one's a little too small for this recipe. I know, these are magic, but I definitely have one for Pesach, and now I'm gonna sprinkle some more on top and cover it with a second piece of parchment. I always roll out all pie dough and tart dough between 2 pieces of parchment so that I don't have to use so much flour.
And, okay. I thought it was just because it's easier.
Well, it's easier because it won't stick.
And it makes it less dirty.
Right, so then you don't have like your rolling pin covered, get too sticky with dough. But since we don't have a rolling pin, and some people actually don't have rolling pins for Pesach.
Me.
I do, of course. We are going to use something even better. A bottle of wine that you can open up later and drink.
Any tips and tricks about rolling out the dough?
Tip number 1, never roll over the edge. Whether you're rolling out babka dough, pie dough, cookie dough, because then the edges get really thin and the middle's thicker. So just stop before the edge. And what's so great about rolling it in the package, you get to turn it in every direction. So you keep kind of rolling out this way. And then every once in a while, you might lift up the top, make sure it's not sticking. Then you shake some more. I should have flour in one of these during the year. This is like so great. And then you're just gonna roll it out.
I've like been silenced. I'm so impressed.
I roll out a lot of dough. Okay, so another little trick. At some point during the rolling, you're gonna go like this. Flip over the whole package and make sure the bottom isn't sticking. Oh, this is perfect. And we're gonna shake a little bit more.
So
Now, if you're ever rolling out dough and it starts to get really mushy, it's summertime, or your kitchen is just too warm and it's feeling gooey and everything's sticking, stop rolling. Take this whole packet, put it on a cookie sheet, stick it in your freezer for 10 minutes, and it'll chill up again, and then you'll be able to roll it nicely.
Did you always bake when you were a kid?
Started with my Easy Bake Oven when I was 5.
Okay, so this is like a thing for you.
And I always loved to bake, but I never thought of it as a possible career. I went to law school, went to college to become a doctor, ended up in law school, practiced law. And it was only when I was about 30 that I went to cooking school in Paris and discovered my true love of pastry.
Wow, she's smart and talented.
But it's not perfectly round. It does look a little like Australia, so I think you can appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna take this like this. Or you can lift it with your hand, or you could also just plop it like that too and kind of lift it up so you know what's in the middle. Flip it over. And then you're gonna unmold it from here and hope it all comes out. I actually like when I show this in events when it doesn't come out perfectly so that I can show people, like, what do you do if it doesn't come out perfectly?
What if you do it doesn't come out perfectly?
Okay, so number 1, you take your finger and your hands and you kind of lift it up so you get it in the corners. And then good old cut and paste from kindergarten. So here, you can help me on that side. We just want to cover this up.
I find that pie dough in general is very forgivable.
It really is. It really is. And like if you ever make a pie that doesn't look pretty, you can always, scoop it out onto plates in the kitchen and call it cobbler. No one's going to know.
Put ice cream on top.
Remember, nobody knows what you serve, so it's all about the marketing. And then you can take your very sophisticated rolling pin and kind of cut it off to make it more even. You can use a knife to do that too. Okay, and you're just going to take this almond cream and you're just going to dump it in there. Just scoop it in. We're just going to spread it, just easily from the middle to the edges, as evenly as you can. In pastry school, we would put something like this in a pastry bag and pipe it out in a circle. But I don't have time for that.
Okay, so this is the poached pear.
Absolutely. Now, you can slice it one of two ways. You can slice it kind of vertically. I like to slice it horizontal, which is the classic way. So you're just going to cut them in like small pieces, but you want to keep the shape of the pear together.
Intact.
So you're going to cut straight down. A small knife is really good for this. And you do your best to make them even. If they're not, I wouldn't worry about it. So you're going to cut all the way down. And now you've got your pear. See, it's completely intact still. And you can take some kind of a spatula. I'm going to use this. And I'm going to pop it in. I guess I'll put it here like at 9 o'clock. I'm going to put it into my pan like this. And then you can kind of fan it out.
You didn't even fan it out much. You just kind of
You don't have to. They kind of naturally do that. And if you ever don't like the shape of your pear, you can reshape them. And I'll do the next one. And what happens in the oven is that the almond cream puffs up around the pears. There you go.
And we just keep going.
And you keep going. So depending on the size pan you do, like if you were doing a smaller pan, you'd probably put 4 halves in it. And with the larger pan, we could always do 2 more, or we can potentially put like all 6 of the halves in there. It depends on the size of the pears too. Press it like all the way to the edge, and there you go.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna put this in the oven. We're gonna bake this on.
You're gonna bake this in the oven at 400 till it is brown. You want the crust to be golden, the cream's gonna puff up, and it's gonna be beautiful.
Paula, that looks amazing!
So this is the one we made in advance, and this one we cut the pears another way and fan them in another direction, which is another way to go. And you can make a smaller one like this, depending on how many people you're feeding.
This is like a personal pie. Goodbye, everyone. I'm just going to take this with me.
Let's just give Naomi a fork or a spoon, and she's ready to go.
I love pie, so this is like right up my jam.
And speaking of jam, I'm going to show you how we make this look even prettier. Okay, because we're not done yet. Okay.
But wait,
okay. So powdered sugar, right, is how you fix anything. Like you bake a cake, you bake something, it doesn't look pretty, you put powdered sugar on top, done.
Or crumble.
Apricot jam is also a great glue. If you ever make like a pie with a lattice and any of the pieces break, you can use apricot jam to kind of glue your lattice back together when it comes out of the oven. It's a great little tip. All right, so I'm basically just going to put powdered sugar on the crust part and the almond part.
But not all over the pears.
No, because on the pears... Wait, so we're going to...
It looks like you went to a French pastry shop for Pesach.
One more step. So, apricot jam. So, you heat it in the microwave for about 15 seconds. Usually I'll strain it to get out the big pieces because we don't want the big pieces. We just want the glaze. So, if you ever look in a bakery and you see shiny desserts...
My mum does this.
Oh, she knows. So, you're just going to brush it so it looks shiny. And you can serve it room temperature. You could warm it.
Look at that. And we did it. See? And if it comes apart, that's okay.
Yeah, you always have to eat the scraps yourself.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got to go right for it.
All right. But now I can cut a beautiful piece for... Oh, this is nice.
I had a head start.
You had a head start. Really nice. There you go.
Okay. You going to join me?
I will join you. I'm going to cut another piece.
That is amazing. I like...
It's a combination of like the almonds and the pears and the crust.
And French cooking.
So does this look like a Pesach recipe?
No.
It just doesn't.
This is absolutely incredible. Paula, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is a show been in the making for a very long time. Thank you for coming on, my friend.
It is so fun to be here with you, to show you one of my favorite desserts, and to have a chance to learn from each other and teach lots of good tips to everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Check out Paula's books, and want more recipes like this? Go to kosher.com. That's a camera. That's a camera.
Camera.
Pause. Right, don't say it.
Okay.
Let's say it. Yeah,
whenever you're ready.